Welcome to the show. A Scottish court has struck down Trump's IEEPA-based tariffs, and Democrats, the mainstream media, and Rhino Republicans are all celebrating, claiming this marks the end of Trump's tariff agenda. That couldn't be further from the truth. Trump has already moved to overturn this ruling. We'll break down exactly what's happening and what's likely coming next. We also have an update on the Save America Act. Someone is deliberately holding it up, and we'll get into who and why. Let's dive right in, starting with what just went down at the White House.
President, you mentioned multiple times foreign influence over the Supreme Court. Do you have evidence of that? And if not, will you investigate that?
You're going to find that.
The U.S. Supreme Court has struck down the majority of Trump's existing tariffs, specifically those imposed under IEEPA, the International Emergency Economic Powers Act. This is a law Congress passed in 1977 that allows the president to declare a national economic emergency in response to an unusual or external threat. That was the core language of the legislation. This is the legal authority Trump has been relying on to impose his tariffs, levies that took effect instantly. The moment Trump announced them, U.S. Customs and Border Protection would immediately begin collecting that fee on all incoming goods. He favored IEEPA because it was fast, straightforward, and required no lengthy process. It was clean and efficient until now. The Supreme Court ruled this morning that IEEPA does not actually grant the president that authority. In essence, the court found that Trump has been using the wrong legal basis for his tariffs. Justice Gorsuch, a conservative and a Trump-appointed justice, wrote in his concurrence that decisions affecting the American people's obligation to pay taxes are constitutionally reserved for Congress, which, frankly, raises a valid objection. Tariffs are not taxes. If you can purchase the same product from an American manufacturer without paying a tariff, it is not a tax. Taxes are mandatory and universal. There's no way around them. With tariffs, you have a choice. Buy American and you pay nothing. This entire lawsuit, the one the Scottish court just ruled on, was filed by none other than Mike Pence's policy organization. Pence took to social media to celebrate the ruling, writing, "I'm proud of our team at Advancing American Freedom for standing strong on behalf of American workers, American businesses, and the Constitution of the United States." Is that right, Mike Pence? Or did you simply choose China's side over your own country's? President Trump responded without restraint, stating, "I am ashamed of certain members of this court for lacking the courage to do what is right for this nation. They are deeply unpatriotic and disloyal to our Constitution." In my view, the court has been influenced by foreign interests and a political movement far smaller than anyone realizes. Ketanji Brown Jackson, Elena Kagan, and Sonia Sotomayor are a disgrace to this nation. They are nothing more than pawns for the rhinos and the radical left Democrats. Democrats, the media, and rhino Republicans erupted in celebration this morning, convinced the ruling had stopped Trump's tariff agenda dead in its tracks. That jubilation faded almost immediately, however, as President Trump stepped forward and turned the decision on its head. Watch.
Protect, and it says so. In order to protect our country, a president can actually charge more tariffs than I was charging in the past period of a year under the various tariff authorities. So we can use other of the statutes, other of the tariff authorities, which have also been confirmed and are fully allowed. Therefore, effective immediately, all national security tariffs under Section 232 and existing Section 301 tariffs, they're existing, they're there, remain in place, fully in place, and in full force and effect. Today, I will sign an order to impose a 10% global tariff under Section 122 over and above our normal tariffs already being charged. And we're also initiating several Section 301 and other investigations to protect our country from unfair trading practices of other countries and companies. Thank you for your attention to this matter, and I say quite simply, which I've said for a long time, make America great again. And interestingly, we've already made it great, so I don't have to use that, but I don't think we'll ever give up on MAGA. MAGA is always going to be with us.
Trump declared, effective immediately, all national security tariffs under Section 232, as well as all existing Section 301 tariffs, remain fully in place and in force. Today, I will be signing an executive order to impose a 10% global tariff under Section 122 on top of the standard tariffs already being applied. We are also launching several Section 301 and additional investigations to defend our country against unfair trade practices. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Make America great again. In practical terms, this ruling carries far less weight than the media is suggesting. The decision only invalidates tariffs that were imposed under IEEPA. It leaves Section 122 and Section 301 of the Trade Act of 1974 completely untouched. This means the administration will likely use Section 122 to replace all the IEEPA tariffs within a matter of days. Section 122, however, is temporary in nature. While it can be deployed almost immediately, it does come with limitations. It caps the global tariff rate at 15% and is restricted to 150 days. Trump will likely use this as a stopgap measure to sustain pressure and maintain tariffs on all relevant countries while the administration works through the more demanding process of invoking Section 301. Section 301 is the real goal. It gives Trump essentially the same authority he's already been exercising, and then some. But it takes months, requiring formal investigations and consultations before any tariffs can take effect. Once that process is complete, however, Section 301 tariffs are powerful. They can be set at any rate, 100%, 200%, whatever is deemed necessary, and they carry no expiration date. The media, in the wake of this ruling, has been gloating that the tariff regime has been stopped cold. It has not. Scott Bessent stepped forward moments ago and made it absolutely clear this changes nothing. Tariff revenue will remain unchanged in 2026. He set the record straight on what today's ruling actually means and what it doesn't. Watch what he said.
I would also like to take a moment to address today's Supreme Court ruling, and I would note that I did not change a single word in my speech post the ruling. President Trump will always put our national security and Americans first. And as I have said before, the president has multiple tools in his toolbox. Let's be clear about what today's ruling was and what it wasn't. Despite the misplaced gloating from Democrats, ill-informed media outlets, and the very people who gutted our industrial base, the court did not rule against President Trump's tariffs. 6 justices simply ruled that IEEPA authorities cannot be used to raise even $1 of revenue. This administration will invoke alternative legal authorities to replace the IEEPA tariffs. We will be leveraging Section 232 and Section 301 tariff authorities that have been validated through thousands of legal challenges. Treasury's estimates show that the use of Section 122 authority, combined with potentially enhanced Section 232 and Section 301 tariffs, will result in virtually unchanged tariff revenue in 2026.
To put it simply, what this morning's ruling amounts to is that Trump was using the wrong legal framework to impose his tariffs. Justice Kavanaugh spelled out which statute he should be using instead, and Trump acted on that immediately. He reimposed the same tariffs that were already in place. this time under the correct legal authority, and raise them by an additional 10%, all in a day's work. Meanwhile, we have a significant update on the Save America Act, which we've been tracking closely. This national voter ID legislation has been sitting and waiting for a Senate vote. We now have new information revealing what's been causing the delay. It turns out Mitch McConnell is the one blocking this bill from moving forward and receiving a vote. Many of us have been waiting on John Thune to make a call regarding the talking filibuster, but he cannot make that call until the Senate Rules Committee schedules the vote. Mitch McConnell chairs the Senate Rules Committee, and he is apparently refusing to put the Save America Act on the floor for a vote, bringing the whole process to a standstill. Here's Congressman Tim Burchett of Tennessee explaining exactly what's going on this morning. Take a listen.
Hey everybody, Tim Burchett. I saw where Mitch McConnell was blocking the SAVE Act this morning. I think it's partially just out of meanness. He doesn't like Trump. And Trump got him in office, sadly enough. He helped him in that last race extensively. And that's one thing I value in this game is loyalty, and apparently he doesn't. But he's blocking the SAVE Act. Or is he? Is it him or a staff member? Because, as you know, he's a lot like Joe Biden was in his last few days in office, or last years in office, last 4 years really. His cognizant level is diminishing daily. You know, I'm always remembered we had a chairman of a committee, and I asked in committee. In our conference meeting, I asked if how much money was in this bill, and she responded, "I don't know. Next question." And I said, "No. How much money is in this dadgum bill?" And his immediately staffers were like, "You can't be asking that. You can't be asking that." Well, dadgummit, you know, this thing ain't supposed to be some retirement village. It's supposed to be the United States Congress and the Senate. But here's what it's turned into. And it is wrong. You've got staffers that are running this thing. The lady that I asked those questions of, it turns out for over 6 weeks, she never showed up and nobody knew where she was. But her staff kept running the office. And she was in a retirement village for people that were in cognizant decline.
What I'd really like to know is whether it's McConnell who's truly behind this, or whether it's John Thune pulling the strings. Remember, McConnell was Thune's political mentor for years. They were extremely close, or at least they were. We all know McConnell has no love for President Trump, and he's already gone on record as a no vote on the SAVE Act, one of just 2 Republican senators standing against it. But is he doing this for his own reasons? Or is he actually acting on behalf of John Thune, who perhaps wants to avoid being forced into invoking the talking filibuster? Either way, we now know who's responsible, and this situation cannot drag on much longer. Republicans are putting serious pressure on McConnell to get this vote on the calendar, a vote that, by the way, was supposed to be scheduled this very week. We'll keep you updated as this develops. That's a wrap on today's episode. Hit like, subscribe, and we'll see you very soon.